Y'all, we have a great guest today. Could not say enough about this guy as a business guy, as a family man, and just a good dude. And I've known his partner for a very long time and known him very well for about the last 10 years. So we have had quite a good run together. And well, let's bring him up. I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Mike Powell.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, bud. How are you?
Mike. Good.
Mike, you're from San Antonio.
Yep.
And so tell us a little bit about your business and your partner and kind of what you guys do a little bit.
So my business partner's a little known guy named Mitch Steven.
Yeah.
he's known across the industry a little bit. Him and I partnered up about 10 years ago in 2011, 2012. He had been doing owner financing and lending for many, many years before that. I think you and him started doing stuff together in the 90s, correct?
That's it. Yep.
Went on 30 years. And we partnered up and started doing owner financing and carrying notes since about 2011, all over San Antonio and within about an hour of San Antonio.
So you guys have, Mike, I've bought 1,000 portfolios of seller finance notes. So pretty much anybody that's ever carried 1,000 notes, I probably know them, right? Just a small world business. I don't know a better operator than you.
I appreciate that. That's very humbling.
You got it figured out. You're clear about one thing. You're seller financing to gain a customer for your bank. You're not seller financing to get rid of your property.
Yeah, we're not addicted to those big cash returns. You know, like if you're a flipper or a wholesaler or a guy who creates notes and then sells them the next day or the next month. You know, we've never been geared towards selling notes. We have sold a few, but we have probably sold less than 5% of our portfolio over the last 10 years. We're, like you said, we're geared to build a bank. I never thought about it that way until about this year when you and I were having that conversation. But we truly are more of a small bank, and we're lending. Well, one thing that you told me way back when we first met was you said, do you want to own, or do you want to have a job, or do you want to own a portfolio? And that kind of resonated. And we're very careful about our lending and who we put in homes, and it's paid off tremendously. You know, through COVID, you know, for the last year, we've only had 2 foreclosures, which is unreal.
Yeah, Mike, I would say one thing, you know, I've known a lot of operators, you know, seller financing probably should have never been put in Dodd-Frank because we're not a bank or some mega institution. You and I have spent thousands of dollars and seem like thousands of hours on the Seller Finance Coalition side, both at the state level and the national level, with lobby efforts and stuff. And thank you for your commitment to do that. Interestingly, you've done all that with laws that probably wouldn't personally benefit you, by the way.
No, not at all.
That's pretty crazy, Joe, right? A guy spends that much money and time to go protect the industry.
Exactly.
Even though he's probably such a big operator, he wouldn't be protected. But I want to talk a little bit about why you like the seller finance space. Like, what is it? A guy that's done, you guys have done cumulatively now 3,000 notes?
Yeah, at least 3,000 to 3,500, something like that.
So that's a lot of notes. Why? Why did you pick notes? Now you sort of stepped into Mitch's business, but let me be clear with everybody. You're a heck of an operator. I have the highest respect for you as an operator and running, you know, operationally the day-to-day of the business. You let Mitch stay on Facebook, right?
He's a little better on Facebook than I am.
But I want to go back to the core of it. What drove you to this model, and why does it matter?
1 second. Sorry about that.
This guy's got, hey, we ought to take a call right here, Joe. Let's go buy something, Big Mike.
I chose this model. I got out of college. I'd done real estate in college. I sold real estate, did a lot of commercial real estate in college, and worked for a lot of investors. And I decided getting out of college that it was time to become an investor instead of watching them make all the money while I sat on the sidelines getting a paycheck. And so I got in and I thought, man, I want to own all these rentals. Well, I had one. And I think you and I are probably diagnosed by the same doctor. I'm highly allergic. highly allergic to rentals. I don't have the patience or the tolerance to own a lot of rental houses, but I knew I wanted to be in the single family business, mostly because people got to have somewhere to live. People don't have to have a commercial property. They don't have to have certain things, but they have to have somewhere to live. And that was kind of my theory behind why I wanted to be in single family residential. And so I got in with a guy who sold me a house on the east side of San Antonio. My first house, I bought it for $16,000, and tried to, was fixing up to rent it out. And the guy said, no, you should owner finance it. You should get a hold of this guy. He teaches it. And I got a hold of Mitch, and that's kind of how I got into it. And I realized I really liked carrying paper, and I like the flexibility of the lifestyle of carrying paper. I watch all these other people answering phone calls, or paying out all their profits to not a servicer, but a property manager and all that kind of stuff. And, once I put pen to paper, you're not making any money on those rentals. All my friends weren't making any money. So I steered way more towards the note space.
So I want to talk about that. You've mentioned two models, and you and I have been in a number of masterminds, very high volume operators in there. But you and I have a theory about what we would call getting the juice out of the lemon, right? And there's sort of two other options. You can flip houses, or you can keep them and rent them. Why do you feel like seller financing is the ultimate juice out of the lemon?
So for me, it was I like cash flow. I like security, and I like cash flow. You can get cash flow out of rentals if you get them to a point where they're paid down far or they're free and clear. You can get some cash flow out of rentals. So I like that side of it. But I also like the ability to be able to sell anytime I wanted, which is what you can do with your flipping. I could sell these notes and get a lot of cash if I ever needed to. So I had an asset that was easily tradable, just like as if I was flipping, but I had the cash flow we wanted as well. And I could build a lifestyle that I wanted based off that cash flow.
That's great. Yeah. All right. So it all starts out with good ingredients, right? You can't 5-star restaurant can't make an unbelievable, meal unless it has great ingredients. Right. And so the ingredient to start with is clearly the guy that's going to owe you the money, right? Now Joe and I refer to this as a penalty box buyer, right? And I think that resonates, but it's not a buyer of last resort. Right. And so I want to talk a little bit about that filter that you have, that process. Who is that guy that needs private financing that you are confident will pay you for a long period of time?
Well, so the first thing that I want to say on this, especially for everybody out there, because they ask us all the time how we pick our buyers and how we filter them down and whatnot. The first thing we do is we set a price on a house and we set a down payment. And I tell my salespeople, don't call me if they don't have the down payment. I don't want to hear about the guy that's $500 short. I don't want to hear about the guy that's $1 short. Don't call me if they don't have the down payment. So that's the first place we start at. I'd rather let a house sit vacant for 6 months to get the right guy than put the wrong guy in there. So don't call me without the down payment. That's the biggest key. We average somewhere between 15 and 20% by the time they do the down payment, closing costs, and insurance, all that kind of stuff. They're usually about 15 to 20% into the house. That's a strong buyer for us. I don't take anything less. I won't do it. I might work something out if the house is a wreck and we decide not to fix it up or something like that. But on average, we're 15 to 20% down. So that's the first place we start on buying on our buyers. We're kind of in a beautiful space here in San Antonio because we're not all the way down in the valley where I grew up, but we're not up towards Dallas. So you kind of have a better price range of houses and stuff. You're not bottom of the barrel, but you're not top either. So we're in a really beautiful spot where we have good buyers with still some reasonably priced stuff. And that's really helped us on finding our buyers because we're in a fairly large city. I think we're top 10 in the country on city size. And Mitch has been doing it here, almost 30 years, and I've been doing it within the last 10. And we've built a reputation around here as far as selling owner finance homes and being good to our buyers, being fair, honest people. And so we start with reaching out to the community. I've got a lot of realtors where they specialize in owner finance. They bring us a lot of people. And then we've got our own sales team. And I've built a Facebook page on that sells our homes. We've got 10,000 followers. And we do some teaching on there. We explain how to buy an owner finance home, what to look out for, all that kind of stuff. We do some teaching on there. That's really boosted up our followers and having people more prepared when they come to buy a house from us. But our sales team's very ingrained with the community in San Antonio and very ingrained with the owner finance community. And that's made a huge difference for finding that right buyer.
Yeah, you guys have championed the deserving buyer, right? I mean, and there's such a difference between you and I've met a lot of people that seller financed and really did not think in terms of, holding out for the right buyer. And the market, in the last year, Mike, the market's left so many people behind. I mean, about 30% of the average, about 30% of the people that could get a conventional mortgage before the virus couldn't get one in about a year and a half period of time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. So I want to talk about the life effect. And when we go to do lobby efforts for the Seller Finance Coalition, and you and I've been in many congressmen and senators' offices, right? Both at the state and federal level. We don't talk about us, right? Who do we talk about?
We talk about the buyer, and the reason we need to talk about the buyer with these people is they don't understand not being able to afford a mortgage. They're sitting in a big time office at either the state capitol or the United States Capitol, and they can't comprehend people not being able to get a mortgage because of, one example is because she had cancer 6 years ago and it destroyed her credit. They can't comprehend that person. They don't hang out in those crowds. They don't see those types of people. So we have to start with the buyer with them, because if you can't get them to understand that, they're not going to understand the concept ever.
The saying that we have is seller financing provides home ownership for people that are outside what conventional lending will make a loan on. And there's such a gigantic hole in that market. So you guys have, I think you've really championed it as good as anybody. So Mike, I want to move just a little bit in the direction. You guys have been active house buyers, active house fixers, buy, fix, resell with seller financing, but you've moved your asset class into other things. And I want to talk about that and why you've done that.
Yeah, we've, I guess about maybe about 3 years ago, we moved heavier into land. We were doing a lot of land, breaking up land, owner financing it. That it's a desperate need for people. A lot of people have homes or can have the capability of building their own homes, things like that, but they couldn't get the land needed to do it. So that was a huge one for us. We've done very well with it over the last 3 years. We've pivoted from 100% houses to probably about 50-50 land and houses right now. It's less competitive than the house market, which is good. We have the capability because of the backing we have and all that kind of stuff. We have more capability to do it than your average investor. So it sets us apart a little bit from some of those other people. And then we've also done a lot with mobile homes. As we saw with lumber prices and building prices and lot prices, everything's skyrocketing so fast. I truly believe the last form of affordable housing is in your mobile homes. We do a lot of land mobile packages. Eddie, you've probably seen 100,000 of them. We do our own subdivisions. Sometimes we find individual lots, but we're doing a lot of our own subdivisions, putting mobiles on land. We became a mobile home dealer and been financing our own rather than going through 21st Mortgage or Vanderbilt or one of these other big mobile lenders, where we've created our own financing for mobile and land packages.
Wow.
So you have a piece of land, you break it up, you put the road in, you put the utilities in. Now they own an individual lot, call it 1 acre, right? And then you go put a brand new manufactured house on that land and you sell them a home land package. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. That's it.
And,
what's the typical, what would that property sell for, Mike?
So a single wide's anywhere from 110 to 130, and then a double wide's usually about 150 to 180.
they call that affordable housing.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. What would their monthly payment be? Let's just say on the double wide, on the big one. What would their
On the
monthly
big one, the max is about $1,650, $1,700 a month for a brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath double wide on an acre.
So, Joe, I've heard this said 10,000 times in my career. Living on this 1 acre in this manufactured home, a guy's a contractor, he's a whatever, right?
Yeah.
He says, I don't raise my kid in a concrete parking lot.
There you go.
It's unbelievable. We sell them, and then you'll drive by two, because we've got them all in a row, and you sell one and we'll go into the subdivision, we'll drive by, and all this, the guy that moved in a week ago has already got 1 cow, 2 donkeys, a chicken coop,
That's
we're selling
ranchette.
Yeah, we're selling the dream of these people being able to have a ranchette, or a lot of times businesses. A lot of our penalty box buyers are contractors or things like that who have the income that they can't show it on paper, and they might have a roofing business and they got 8 trucks. Well, they can't park 8 trucks in town, and to go have a home and then go buy a commercial space to park all your trucks doesn't work for them. So that's a lot of our buyers do that kind of thing. So it works out really well for our people to be on the larger lots.
So, Mike, I'm going to do you like Barbara Walters, right? Now that I've got you all warmed up and relaxed, now I can ask you a couple of hard questions, right? How many seller finance notes do you think you'll do in the next 12 months?
I think probably about 100 to 120. We shoot for the 100 mark every year, but we'll do somewhere between 100 and 120. If I can get another subdivision done, we'll up it to 200.
That's great.
Yeah.
So.
And you now have a servicing business. You not only service your loans, but you service other people's loans.
We do. We got a company called Moat Servicing. We were servicing all of our own notes for years and years because we weren't happy with different servicers. We tried tons of different servicers, and we just figured out that they're not in the business. They're in the note servicing business. They're not in the owner financing business. So we never agreed on how things should be serviced or how things should be handled. And, when we were with a servicer, I still had a full-time girl on staff running our stuff. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So we brought it all in-house. We did that for years, and people constantly would ask us to service for them and that kind of thing. So we started doing it a little bit, and it's taken off. It's done very well. It's a good business. But it's really good because we get to help people out with servicing their loans the way we service ours, which we've got a good track record with our servicing on our personal stuff, and it's working really well for other people. So it's been a different experience, but it's been fun.
Primarily in Texas?
Primarily in Texas. We're in some other states, but primarily in Texas.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk one more thing before we wrap it up, and that is the name of your holding company. The name of your holding company is Moat Management, right?
Yes, sir.
How in the world did you pick such a name?
So I'm sure everybody's, or a lot of people on here have heard of Mitch's book, My Life in 1,000 Houses. If you haven't read it, please read it. It's I'm not saying it because he's my business partner and one of the best guys I know, but his book is phenomenal for the young entrepreneur. But he had a theory in there called the moat theory. And I'm not sure if he got it from somewhere, but he had one called the moat theory, where you build your moat around your castle. You got your castle. You don't ever risk that money. That money's sitting inside your castle. You build your cash flow or your reserves, and you don't risk that money in the castle. You can run out and risk other money, but you always leave that alone. So when we started doing business together, we said we were going to build our moat first, and that's how we came up with Moat Management. That's a great
lifestyle to live with and a mindset. Well, Mikey, if you can hang around, we'll have an after party. If guys want to ask you some questions about maybe your servicing company or some stuff like that, you guys stick around. Mike will have some information on that. And just it'd be a good opportunity if you guys want to lean in a little bit and have a chance to talk to one of the best operators I know in the market, Mr. Mike Powell and his partner, Mitch. So, Brian, we're going to let you circle up and take us home, and we'll see you on the backside.